You're listening to Hotep Ish with your host, Dewan B. Intelligent Ish Talk, intelligent shit talk, where we balance the profound with the profane. Political satire, celebrity and expert guests, information and entertainment, conversation and solutions. Leave your feelings at the door.
Playback from a few videos ago, and I was listening to my Scruncho interview, and I was like, man, I'm way too close up into that mic. Why don't y'all tell me? I hate when I'm listening to a podcast and they topping out on the mic. I'm over here topping out like a motherfucker. Shit rattling in my speakers and shit. That's probably why people wear headphones when they do these kind of shows. I don't like wearing headphones though, because headphones look stupid. At least the podcasts and headphones do. Podcasts and headphones are stupid. But anyway, we about to get into it. Standing 10 toes down for the culture. Standing 10 toes down for the culture. Yeah, I'm going there. We about to talk about that. What does that mean? What am I talking about? What does that mean when I say standing 10 toes down for the culture? Well, we're going to get into that. We are most definitely going to get into that. Gotta burn some incense, though. How's everybody doing? See Vesey, Sherelle Bryant. Yeah, we are standing on business. Standing on black business, man. That's what we talking about, because I'm tired of watching us always getting G'd up off of our spot. That's what we call it here in LA. In LA, if you're in a position, you doing something, and somebody move you off that position, growing up in the 80s and the 90s here in LA, that's what niggas call getting G'd up off your spot. A G came in, and you was here. They came in and said, nah, I want to be right here. And you were like, okay. You got G'd up off your spot. I remember I learned that lesson real young at the right time. So you learn lessons when you play basketball. Like that's why I don't trust niggas that don't hoop, that don't play sports. Either play sports or play with a band. One of the two, same rules. You got to either grow up and play in a band or play a sport or something that's gonna be communal, to where when you young, you gonna be around some old niggas. I remember when I was 16, I used to hoop, and I went hooping at Westchester Park. And my turn was next. My turn was next to pick a team. We were next. And one of them older 60s niggas came up, because all them old 6'0s used to hoop at Westchester Park. And this dude name was Bird. It's a lot of niggas in the hood named Bird, so I'm trying to figure it out. Everybody I know from a different hood, every hood I know got somebody in their hood named Bird. But this is a dude named Bird from 60s. We talking like late 90s. And I was 16, 17 years old. And it was my turn, I was next. And they came in, dude was like, he next. I mean, he walked in and was like, nah, I'm next. He was like, no, I'm supposed to be next. I was like, nah. Next, he was like, you didn't say nothing? I stayed quiet when they asked who was next. Instead of me raising my hand and saying something like, nah, I got it. I'm next. I was quiet thinking everybody know that I'm next. And so the old nigga from 60s, mind you, this was a nigga from 60s that had a receding hairline. So this nigga was probably one of the first 60s. Goddamn, this nigga was a part of 60s when they was 59s. Nigga. Bird had a receding hair. He was a receding hairline banger. He kind of looked like Evander Holyfield. And I lost my spot. And Bird was like, so that happened. I was mad. And I ended up getting next. He saw I was mad, but of course I wasn't going to do nothing. I'm by myself. You got all these old banging ass niggas here at the park. I ain't going to do shit. Nah. Hell nah, I wasn't going to do nothing. 16, 17 years old. And I'm at a park full of 60s. Hooping. I ain't doing a motherfucking thing. But what happened was, Bird came to me after the game. Now, after he finished hooping later on, he walked back over to me. And he looked at me dead in my eye. And Bird was shorter than me. He said, you can't let nobody G up off your spot, my nigga. You got G'd up off your spot because you let me. He said, you can never let nobody G you up off your spot. If something is your spot, I don't give a fuck who's here. You don't get up off your spot because somebody told you to get up off your spot. You fight for your spot. And that's what Bird told me. I was 16, 17. We talking about like 98. Sometime around there. And I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. That was a lesson that my father couldn't have taught me. Even though my father was there. Not in that context. Because when I used to go hoop, I would leave my family. My family didn't hoop. I was the only one that hooped. So when I was 16, 17, I would get on my bike and I would ride throughout the city looking for a good basketball game. All the way up until all the way up into my mid-20s until I tore my knee. But my father couldn't have been, it wasn't there for that. And I had to go through that and experience that. Being a young black man growing up in the hood. I had to go through that experience to understand what it meant. And the way Bird taught it to me was a way that I could not have gotten had someone told me that. Yeah, my parents would tell me things like always stand on your square. I would get that. You would get those kind of lessons growing up. But what does it mean? What does it mean? Especially when you 16 and you at the park with a receding hairline banger and a whole bunch of other niggas from 60s. What you gonna do? But the way Bird framed it to me and told it to me, it let me know that, even though, and he was saying, even though we all bang, he was like, it's a different level of respect when you stand on it. And always do that. And from that age on, from 1998 on, I ain't never got off my square for shit. If I ran across Bird now, I don't know if he's still alive, but if I ran across him now, I would thank him for that lesson. I was thanking for that. I got it at the right time in my life. As a teenage black boy, getting taught that information from an adult black male. That at that age, of course, I was intimidated by. I'm like, hell yeah, I'm not gonna act like I'm hard. You 16, 17 years old, hell yeah, I'm intimidated by this nigga in a park full of 60s hooping. Yes, the fuck, I was very intimidated. Yep, because I wasn't no banger. I just hooped and played the drums. I'll fight one-on-one, but I ain't about to fight a park full of niggas. Not happening. Especially over no fucking basketball game. Especially over no basketball game. I grew up in that South Central LA that you niggas used to hear about on all the Death Row records. Except for them niggas was in studios and I was on my bike. That was the difference, hooping. This wasn't no... See, one thing y'all gotta understand in the chat room is this. This wasn't no, I'm gonna fight the bullies in high school. This wasn't that, nigga. It wasn't me. It wasn't no, we're in middle school and I'm gonna fight Antoine in the 8th grade. No, nigga, we're not talking about that. We're talking about a 16-year-old and grown-ass men in their 30s, 20s, 30s, and 40s that done been in and out of prison. That's way different than fighting the nigga in your high school. Trust and believe. Especially when it's a park full of them. That's no time for no anecdotal, I'm fighting the nigga down the street. Nah, nigga, I'm not about to fight. It's me, 16 years old, and some niggas that been in prison 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Fuck out of here. Them niggas was banging since Colors was on. Hell nah. I wasn't about to fight over no fucking basketball game. My dad taught me to fight, but my dad also taught me not to be fucking stupid. Pop was like, yeah, fight. But fighting over a basketball game, nigga, with 15 niggas at the park, what kind of dumb shit is that? Right, but these is grown killers. This ain't no nigga down the street saying, I'm gonna get ya. This ain't that. These is niggas, and I knew these niggas had bodies because they would talk about the shit at the park. We talk about some real ass shit. I'm on my bike. These niggas drove. They was called the Rolling 60s for a reason. Because all them niggas had cars and they'd roll up on your ass. I'm at Westchester Park, living way over in the Crenshaw district. I got a good, 8 mile, 9 mile bike ride home? Fuck y'all talking about? Shit nah. Hell motherfucking yeah, I let Bird have that game. But when Bird came to me afterwards and talked to me like I talked about it, and really when Bird was talking, this is why, like, again, I don't get too hard on the gang members because it's a lot of smart, intelligent motherfuckers in those worlds. And when Bird came to me, Bird wasn't talking about throwing hands and fighting. He knew I was, my back was against the wall. And it would be kind of stupid to fight over a fucking basketball game. Ain't like I was disrespected, it was a basketball game. Next. But what Bird did say that stuck to me was always speak up for yourself. Don't let a lot of people being around stop you from speaking up. And as a 16-year-old boy, I needed to hear that. Right, Emperor. Right, this is not about losing your life over a fucking game. You know what I mean? Niggas I done seen get shot or beat up or stomped out over a game. Yeah, that's another thing. Anybody who used to hoop know what I'm talking about. Especially if you hooped when you was a teenager. You saw them old niggas stomp niggas out over a foul. I'm like, man, I ain't about to get stomped out over who next. These niggas stomped somebody out 2 weeks ago over calling a foul at game time. Nigga hit game. Oh no, that was a foul. That was a foul. Fuck out of here. No. But I did learn that lesson of always speaking up for myself, no matter who's around. I learned that lesson that day. And I've been outspoken about speaking up for myself, and bigger than myself, my people ever since. And that's the purpose of today's show. What we're talking about today. We're talking about standing 10 toes down, regardless of what's going on. Here's another reason why I'm having this discussion today. Another reason why I'm having this discussion is I had a conversation with a good friend over the weekend. I had a conversation with a good friend. I'm not going to mention this friend's name because they good people. They good people. But there was a misunderstanding when it comes to the conversation of culture. And for this person, she's a very reasonable person. Somebody who is not a culture vulture by any means, especially consciously. She's somebody who's Latino, but she respects black people. And she's the kind of person that speaks up to other Latinos about their disrespect of Black America. So this is somebody who I've known for well over a decade, who I've seen well over a decade through trial and tribulation be 100. But when we got to talking about hip hop, they said something that was concerning. And we were talking about music. And they said, don't make sure you can't push the Latinos or the Latinos out of hip hop. And I said, yo, y'all was never in hip hop to begin with. Now, but the thing that raised concern to me was, if this reasonable person can be under that lie, that fabrication, that cultural imperialism, that types are just on the extreme level. It's a whole lot of people who ain't Fat Joes who really think like that. And then when I think about it from another point of view, I can't even get too mad, because look at what America does. America's always othering everything black people do. So they ain't no telling what kind of miseducation these people got from their schools. It's no telling what these motherfuckers have been told. Hell, I was taught, and I thought most of my life, that jazz had French and Caribbean and influences, because that's what I was told on every fucking documentary. When they talk about jazz, oh, it's black music, but it's because of these European and French and influences. It's the French and the British influences is the reason why you get jazz. And I thought that shit when I was 10, 20. Hell, in my 30s, I thought there was like a lot of European influence over jazz. Then I sat and thought about it, and I'm hearing this shit. I remember I went to New Orleans. I was like 25. And I'm at the Essence Fest. And at the Essence Fest, they talk. I was like 23. 23. I was like 23, 22, 23. I'm at Essence Fest. And they're like, yeah, jazz is French and European and Haitian influences. And so I'm just like, I didn't think about it. And then when I thought about it, I was like, okay, if jazz has French and European influences, who are the Europeans? Name them. And just by simply asking that question, name them. One, name them. Two, give me a date that they made this influence and who they influenced and how that influence perpetuated throughout jazz. Every time I would look back, I would see a Black American. From Scott Joplin's influence over Buddy Bolden to Louis Armstrong's influence over Fats Waller, who had influence over Dizzy Gillespie, who had influence. Everywhere I looked, there was a Black American. So I had to take a step back and be like, nah. Although y'all been telling me this shit has European influences, y'all still ain't named the European and who they influenced. So if you're the kind of person, if you have and all of us have these thoughts and ideals in our mind. If you have these thoughts and ideals in your mind and you've never taken the time to question those thoughts and ideals, you're just going to perpetuate what you've been told. Taught. I said two words mixed into one. I was gonna say told. I was gonna say taught, but I said taught. Why you stupid? Anyway, so that's part of this, what we're doing here. So it had me kind of reframe how I refocus and reframe how I present information. Because yes, there are a lot of coons out there. Yes, there are a lot of cultural imperialists out there. I think people like Fat Joe are being purposeful, Busta Rhymes and those kind of people. I think they're being purposeful in their thievery of our culture. But then there are other people who just been taught something and they're repeating what they've been taught. And that's a lot of people. So in a lot of ways, you know, it made me think, okay, I might have to really just change my tone up on a lot of my delivery of a lot of this stuff, because for this person to be confused, that lets me know there's no malice. There's no intent. But at the same time, this is where we're going to get into what we're talking about now, standing 10 toes down for your culture. This is when it comes to, I can still be cool with you, we still cool, but I'm going to speak up for my culture. And I'm going to be unapologetic about it. And anybody who has an issue with me speaking up for my culture must have an issue with me and my culture. Or maybe not me, but with my culture. And either way it goes, if you got a problem with me or my culture, that means you either directly or indirectly have a problem with me. So even though people may be misguided about what the culture is, you still got to be 10 toes down explaining it to them and letting them know. And you can't hold back. Because I said, no, Latinos don't have any ownership of hip hop. Dancing in the party does not give you ownership. And the culture goes far beyond these superficial things that you like to attribute to black culture. Like I was talking to somebody, I made a tweet about Eminem and how, like, in the past, how our ancestors didn't see Elvis as some kind of Jesus or godly figure of a music. You had some black folks who may have liked Elvis, and that's cool. You like who you like. But you wouldn't have seen black people put Elvis at the top of anything and say he's a GOAT or greatest of all time of anything, the way these Eminem fans do. The way these Drake fans do. We've lost a lot culturally when we allow others to just come in, obviously be something different, but afraid to say it. Or when you do say it, you want to back off because you offended somebody. That's the shit we got to stop. When we speak up for our culture, I said what I said. I said what I said. Of course, I didn't mean to offend anybody. But I said what I said. And a lot of niggas don't like that. See, that's power. When you say, I said what I said, and you move on. Yeah, Elvis used to kick it. And that goes with somebody. Yeah, hell yeah. Elvis used to hang out in Memphis on Beale Street, trying to be around black folks. I said that to some Eminem dick rider in my comment section. Some Eminem dick ride nigga in my Instagram comment section was like, Eminem used to be around in Detroit. He used to go down to 8 Mile and he used to be around the hood. And my reply was simply this. Our ancestors weren't so socially inept to think that just because a white person is slumming it around us, that they're part of the culture. They could, at the same time, appreciate Elvis, because Elvis was good at what he did. Elvis did not suck. You've never heard me say Elvis sucks. Elvis didn't suck. Elvis did a damn good imitation of what he saw, especially for a white boy. Got my hands a shaking and my knees are weak. I can't stop. I'm in love. Oh, I'm all shook up. I love that song. The first time I heard that song was Elvis's version. In that movie, what was that movie with Kirstie Alley and John Travolta? Look Who's Talking. In that movie, Look Who's Talking, I remember watching that shit when I was a kid. And they had like a whole bunch of Elvis references. And my first time hearing I'm All Shook Up was on that movie. And I was digging that groove. Hey. I didn't know a nigga sung that first. And I'm sure most black people at the time they heard Elvis didn't know when they heard that on the radio. Why? Because there was no internet. Now, if you were in the towns, if you were happened to catch one of the shows, the black artist did the song first, you knew. But if you didn't, they didn't play a lot of black artists on the radio back then. As a matter of fact, during the time of Elvis, late 50s, they bring him on so they don't have to play Chuck Berry. So they don't have to play Little Richard. So the shit was groovy. Of course you're going to like it. Just like I'll never begrudge an Eminem fan. Especially that Eminem with Dre. Especially if Nate Dogg was on the hook. Nigga, basically, if you have Dr. Dre and Nate Dogg on the hook, that's 98% of a hit right there. It almost don't even matter who rapping on the song. So if you like that early Eminem, that's cool too. Ain't nothing wrong with liking that shit. The difference is when you done liking that white boy song, when you come back and be like, man, they the God. They part of the culture. They one of the goats. They one of the goats. Elvis is one of the goats. Did you see him do that? Did you? The fuck? You niggas is who I'm talking about. I understand why you might like them and what they do. So I understand why you might like Drake mumbling and humming ass. Sound like a bootleg ass Fonte. I get it. But why would you put people who obviously don't fuck with our culture outside of our music? Why the fuck would you put them at the head of our anything we have to do culturally? Somebody said Eminem is one of the greatest writers. Okay, Dag. If Eminem is one of the greatest writers of all time, name the song that Eminem wrote that shifted how we think. Name the song. Name the Eminem song that gave the world a picture in the life of American society. The way Ice Cube did, Today Was a Good Day, and How to Survive in South Central. The way Nas did on Whose World Is This. Name the song from Eminem that got the masses of people to lift their spirit and make them do a little bit better than they did yesterday. If Eminem is one of the greatest writers of all time, name the motherfucking song that he wrote that shifted the consciousness of a society. See, if we're talking about, no, Stan is something that only Eminem fans talk about. Stan is something that's a song that Eminem fans like. That did not shift nothing socially. No, it didn't. That's one song that only Eminem fans like. Yeah, where's his Dear Mama? Somebody said Stan was innovative. You know what else is innovative? Fuck Faces by Scarface. That was very innovative too, but it didn't move the needle. All right? Y'all niggas will lower the bar to put a white boy up top. That's the problem. If you're going to put somebody at the top, give me their work. When people say Marvin Gaye was one of the greatest, what's going on shifted how the world thinks. Today Was a Good Day painted a picture of a decent life in America. And that's a song that still gets played to this day worldwide from across all cultures and races. Whether or not you know Ice Cube or not, you're still going to hear Today Was a Good Day because the world can relate to having a good day, no matter how fucked up your situation is. That's what I'm talking about when you're talking about some goddamn... You ain't got to be an Ice Cube fan to hear and know Today Was a Good Day. You do, however, have to be an Eminem fan to hear the song Stan. You see how quick you niggas lower the bar to put a white boy over it? See how easily niggas lower the bar to put a white boy over it? Just because you like a couple white boy songs, he's now the greatest. Yeah, Fuck the Police. That's another one back from Cube. Fuck the Police. That's a worldwide anthem. Fuck the Police. That is an anthem worldwide. They was playing Fuck the Police in 2011 when they had the Arab Spring, when them Egyptians overthrew the government. They was playing Fuck the Police, not Stan. All right? That's the difference. In the 70s, cats could appreciate the Bee Gees because that song, Emotions, that those some good ass songs the Bee Gees put out. Hall and Oates. You never hear the niggas say no Bee Gees and no fucking disco gods. What? There we go. We back. I don't know what the fuck going on. We back. Can y'all hear me? There we go. Can y'all hear me? I don't know what the fuck going on right now. Can y'all hear me? But we could. There was a time that culturally we can listen to somebody else and be like, they cool. Man, Larry, you ain't shit. Tells him he the hands of God. Yeah, we back. I don't know what the fuck happened. So that's what we talking about here. You have to be on the board as a group. A lot of wins. I think that's YouTube, man. There we go. But that's what we are with it right now, man. We got to stand 10 toes down for the culture. It's right. Phil Collins is one of them ones. We love that shit. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. And then we gonna go right back to listening to Confunction. I ain't never heard my dad and that generation be like, oh man, Phil Collins is the greatest ever. Oh, that Michael McDonald? Did you hear the way Michael McDonald sang On My Own with Patti LaBelle? Oh man, Michael McDonald, he would have killed Billy Ocean. Michael McDonald would have killed Jeffrey Osborne in that song. Think about that, people. Have you ever heard that conversation? Has a nigga ever got done listening to Hall and Oates? 101, I wanna play my game. Nigga, we love that shit. I love that shit. Oh, here she comes. Hell yeah. But you ain't gonna hear no niggas be like, man, that Hall and Oates, man, I don't know, man. They might, shit, I don't know, man. Hall and Oates might be killing the stylistics, man. I don't know, man. The Bee Gees, they might be killing Earth, Wind & Fire, man. Have you ever seen that? Oh man, that shit. That Cyndi Lauper? Man, I don't know, man. That Cyndi Lauper giving Stephanie Mills a run for her money. Oh, that Madonna? Man, I don't know about, man. That Madonna, man, you hear that song, Like a Virgin? Man, Madonna, she killing Whitney Houston, man. Madonna, I don't know, man. Whitney Houston, that Madonna. I'm serious. We was around. Chat room. Am I bullshitting? Did you ever see black people be like, yeah, man, somebody said George Michael. Yeah, man, George Michael. Yeah, man, that nigga George Michael killing him. He killing Peabo Bryson. Man, that George Michael, shit. I don't know about that, man. You hear that new George Michael? Man, Peabo Bryson gonna be, man, Howard Hughes better watch that, man. What's the other white boy name? Michael Bolton? Man. That boy Michael Bolton is killing Barry White. That new Michael Bolton, man. Barry White, he giving Barry White. You ain't never heard us talk like that. And every white person I mentioned is good. I list all of them. A song here and there. I ain't even mentioned any trash white folks. I just mentioned the good ones. Like Eminem. He's a good one. He's a good rapper. Drake is a good artist. Good rapper. And here's how you know these niggas be full of shit. You know niggas is full of shit when they want to take it to the numbers. What the numbers say, by the numbers. There are two kinds of people who say stats don't lie. There are only two kinds of people who go to the numbers. One, people who just repeating some shit they heard before and they repeating numbers. That's number one. And that's most of you niggas. That's 85, 90% of y'all. Don't really know numbers like that. But you're repeating some numbers because you read it somewhere, heard it somewhere, and you're repeating the numbers. And it sounds good. That's number one. The other kind of person that uses numbers are the people who know numbers are deceitful, or deceptive, I should say. And they know how to deceitfully use numbers against people because they know that most people are person number one. Person number two types that knows numbers and knows numbers are deceitful and uses numbers in advance are people that know that the people that they're using the numbers on are person number one. People who don't know shit about numbers. People either don't know about numbers or they know the numbers well enough to manipulate those who don't know anything about numbers. That's how the game works. They tell you all, by the numbers, Eminem sold this many rappers, so he must be this many records. Drake sold that many records. So by the numbers, if you look at how many people pay attention, how many people bought their album, by the numbers, instead of looking into those numbers and understanding the fact that anytime a non-black person does anything that black people dominate, and if they do it fairly well, the majority are going to buy it. That's just how it is. Kind of the same thing Shannon Sharp did. Y'all see what Shannon Sharp did? Shannon Sharp tried to compare Taylor Swift to Michael Jackson and Beyonce and say by the numbers. He was saying by the numbers, Taylor Swift is more influential than Beyonce. Okay, if we're going to go use the numbers, let's say, y'all know me, I'm not even a Beyonce fan. But Beyonce has been moving the numbers since the 90s. Beyonce has been influential since the late 90s. I remember I was in high school when that Can You Pay My Bills song came out. The Writings on the Wall. That album came out. They used to play that no. Yeah. They used to play that shit in our high school football games. Nigga, I was in high school, Westchester High School football pads on with that shit bumping in the background. Taylor Swift was still in her daddy's nutsack at that time. Or a little baby at least. Well, she was a baby at the time. Taylor Swift has been moving the needle now for about 7 or 8 years? Beyonce's been moving the needle for 25, 26 years. So that alone would end any argument. Like you're talking about somebody in their absolute prime, and they're white, at the height of their greatness, to somebody who's 10 years past. Beyonce is about 10, 15 years past the height of her stardom. She's still up there at the top. But the height of her stardom was the late 00s into the early 2000 teens. That was the height of Beyonce's stardom. So you compare somebody's golden time that they are right now next to somebody who's long since passed their golden time. But so that right there would end any kind of numbers argument. But that will require people to actually think. And these people who want you to paint by numbers don't think. And they don't want you to think. And then Shannon Sharp, going back to standing down 10 toes down for the culture, Shannon Sharp had the nerve to bring up Michael Jackson. He brought up Michael Jackson, y'all. The nigga brought up Michael Jackson. Speaking about niggas that don't stand 10 toes down for the culture. You don't stand 10 toes down for the culture. And then the minute you could put a white person up, at the top of our culture, you run and you do it. That's what I'm talking about. That kind of shit right there. You right, Taylor Swift, she can't compare to Janet Jackson. During Janet Jackson's height. The fuck out of here. I got my Patreon up and going right now. It's up and working. I got the full interview I have with Scrancho is up in the live interview lounge. We about doing something. I got some other interviews lined up. The interview's about to go. The live interviews are about to go exclusively over to Patreon. The live interviews. You guys over here on YouTube will get the clips and the edited versions later on. But the live unedited versions of the interviews are about to go over to Patreon. Sign up on your different levels. Scan the Patreon, just browse it. Go to patreon.com/DejuanB. I'm going to copy and paste that shit and put copy and let me put paste in the chat. There you go. My readings, my reading cardiology circle, we're going to have regular meetings over there on Patreon for the reading cardiology circle. You'll get a monthly pre-recorded reading for yourself. And for the exclusive cardiology circle, you get a personal reading. And then we got the documentary Movie Insider. For those of you who are helping me fund the documentary. Also, on the documentary Insider 2, you also have access to my new class that I'm starting up. I'm starting up a music history course. An 8-week class. I'm about to start up an 8-week class, y'all, on music history. Where we're going to really delve in the last 100 years of music history. And I'm going to give y'all books, names, titles, locations, dates, all that shit. Very comprehensive class. And it will most definitely be at an affordable price. It will most definitely be at an affordable price. Nicole said, yeah. Nicole, you all remember, Nicole, I sent you a message too, I think, as a member of the Patreon, because Nicole inboxed me because I saw you were Patreon for a while. I'm not sure if you got the inbox, but if not, email me. I have something for you as an appreciation for being part of the Patreon, all right? Because I did see you were in there, Nicole CNC. Email me. I sent you a message through Patreon, but email me, all right? And that goes for all of my long-standing Patreon members. Y'all know who you are. You know who you are. Definitely got something special for y'all. So back to what we're talking about. Durfee made a good point. They're trying to compare physical sales of Michael Jackson to Taylor Swift's push button sales. You got to ask questions when people throw numbers up there. You can't just let people throw numbers up on you. When people are throwing numbers up, they're being purposely deceitful. But I want to go a little bit deeper, I want y'all to look at some of the stuff that Mos Def said. I'm not gonna go so far as say Mos Def all the way apologized, but he didn't stand 10 toes down on what he said about Drake either. This is from, I saw this on Sincere Love to God's Instagram page. But let's listen to what Mos Def said, and let's talk about this for a second.
Any point, I reached out to Chappelle, asking.
Wait. Let me start from the beginning.
Drake, if you would like to speak to me directly, you can at any point. I reached out to Chappelle, asking to reach out to you. I DM'd you. You are a very talented MC. But for me, I require more of myself and others than just talent or charm or charisma.
I'm going to stop it right there. I like what Mos Def is doing. Yasin Bey. Overall, I get it. But this is where Dewan's personal bias comes in. And I'm going to say it again, it's my personal bias. I come from the generation where when the elders spoke, and I use the word elder in this context of Yasin Bey is an elder in hip hop. He's not an elder. He is Drake's elder. When the elder says something, especially if it's within the profession that you do, they said what they said. I come from a day where the elders don't have to filter what they say. They say it, and it's on us to take it like a man. And they may have heard, but like, ooh, that hurt, but I'm all right. Whatever happened to the days of I said what I said, and nigga, if you didn't like it, you need to toughen up. Whatever happened to that? Why does Mos Def, Yasin Bey, somebody who's established himself long-standing as a top guy in his field, why does he have to explain his comments? Let's keep going.
Particularly in times of urgent crisis. And what I would like to see in terms of creators or creative people in the world as it relates to our culture is for people to connect with us beyond the jukebox. It was not an opportunity to try to slander.
I like that. I like how Mos Def threw that in there. It's time that people connect with us outside of the jukebox. We as a culture, we've allowed people to come around and basically only be cool when the music is playing. Is that facts, chat room? Is that facts or is that not facts? People tend to only be cool with us when the music is playing, when the sports is on TV. We got to be playing, either playing sports or playing music. And then when the sports are done, when the music's done, people are on to the next. They don't fuck with us. So I'm glad Mos Def dropped that part in there. Let's keep going.
To him or to clown on him. I have reached out to him.
Real quick, he was saying he didn't mean to clown on him. Let me go back to that part. Let me take a little moment on that part. He was saying he didn't mean to clown on him. This is what I gotta say to that. Appreciate that, Grace Tate. Say it with your chest. As elders, right. But here's what I gotta say to that whole part about the clowning part. Look, people like coming into our culture when we playing music and when we playing sports. But you know what else is a part of our culture? That's the clowning. And I had this conversation on the phone earlier with a dear friend of mine. Dope conversation we had. We disagreed a little bit. But she know I love her. She knows exactly what I'm talking about. We had a great conversation this morning about this. People come to this country as immigrants. And I get what they say. When they come to America, we be talking shit. And Black Americans, we know we do that. We some shit talking motherfuckers. If you too tall, we gonna call you Too Tall Jones. You big tall motherfucker. You look like you pick bird nests out of trees. If you short, look at this little short bastard. You over here walking around, you look like you sniff nut sacks for a living because you eye level with them. If you're gap tooth, we got jokes for you. Look at you. You probably put a straw through your teeth, Mr. Toofus. We got jokes for everybody. If you ain't got no hair, look at the buckshot girl. Black Americans got jokes. If you light skinned with green eyes and you have a lot of money. Oh, look at this old well put together, think they know it all, think they got it all ass motherfucker. Who the fuck this green eyed, light skinned nigga driving a Lexus think he is? Nigga probably a drug dealer. We got jokes for everybody. It's part of our culture. But what happens is, y'all come into America thinking that lie, that Black Americans have no culture. So you come in listening to them white folks, them same white folks that fucked your country up and made you have to come here to begin with. You listen to them say Black Americans have no culture. And you come in, I got my own language. I come in, we got my own culture. I'm Caribbean, I'm African, I'm Jamaican, I'm Nigerian, I'm Mexican, I'm Puerto Rican, I'm Dominican. And you come around these people, you're forced to be around these people that you think have no culture. And every day at school, we culturally rip into your ass. Nugazi. We talk about the Jamaicans wearing white jeans in December and them pointy toe ass shoes. We talk about the Mexicans and those mullets y'all be having when y'all be shaving the side of y'all head, leaving all that hair in the back, them Puerto Rican / Mexican kid rape mullets. We talk about the Africans wearing stonewashed jeans with no lotion on their ankles. Goddamn, Africans, you been here for long enough. I thought y'all made cocoa butter over there in Africa. Rub that shit on your knuckles, you powdery knuckle motherfuckers. We talk shit. That's part of our culture. Too. But what happens is, you get these people that come in saying, oh, the Black Americans, all they did was talk about me, the Black Americans. If you're gay, we talk about you. Every gay kid we had in school, that nigga's name was Sweets. I remember we had this one kid named Donnell, the gay kid. He was on the track. He could run fast. And when Donnell would get on the track, we'd be like, run, Sweets. Look at that sissy go. Run. We love Sweets. But we gonna talk shit. Because Sweets ran like this. Run, Sweets, go, run, get them, Sweets. Shit, and Sweets better, you better be 42nd Street Elementary School when we had these racist Sweets. That, we just a shit talking ass culture. But what happens is, Drake, Eminem, Fat Joe, and people like y'all come into our culture Y'all claim the culture, but then when it comes to the shit talking, y'all can't take it. And that's the problem. When it comes to that aspect of our culture, you can't take it. See, every black American been through the fire. When y'all complain about us talking shit about how y'all dress, you know what black Americans are saying? Oh, today is Tuesday. What's new? We talked about the teacher. I remember when I was in when I was in school. Hell, the best joke circles would be at church, nigga. Youth service at church. And the other groups, y'all don't come to church with us. You want to hear some jokes? Come to a black American church and go to youth service. Am I lying? Those of you in the chat room who grew up in church. You grew up in church and you was part of the youth department and your church had a youth department. Jokes were treacherous. I got the niggas in youth service at church had better jokes than the kids at school. When I had gotten to the point to where I could clown the kids at school, I still had to go to church. And my shoes better be on point at church. Or I'm getting it. That's why I don't let these people claim some innocent, like, oh, the black Americans, oh, they were just so mean. The black Americans were just so hostile. The black Americans. Toughen up. You didn't get no more or no less than any other nigga in class. We was kids. And that's one way culturally, that's how we get down as a group. And as a matter of fact, I actually like it. I don't even want to change that part of our culture. Crack jokes. It teaches motherfuckers to like who they are in spite of what other people say. If you learn the lesson. Because what happens as black Americans, what happens when we're done cracking jokes? Niggas is still going to go to lunch together and be cool. We still going to talk about last night's Laker game, if you in LA, or whatever city you in, or whatever your interest is. After we done with the jokes, we going to go right back to having fun and doing what we do. But don't stumble and fall, or don't even trip. Because if you trip, look at that nigga almost fell. These people want to come around and nip and snip the highlights of our culture and then demonize us for the parts of our culture that didn't work for them. Oh, the black Americans talked about your accent. So what? I'm from LA. Every time somebody moved from the South to school here, we murdered their accent. Don't move from Arkansas or Alabama or Texas to LA in the 80s and the 90s. You come talking all that slow talk. Nigga, we are going to clown. Oh my God. I remember my cousins from Texas would come. Me and my sister would be like, Sim, Lim. Like my cousin Keith from Fort Worth, whenever he would come to LA, we would always try to get him to say 7 so he can go Sim. We used to clown cousin Keith. We'd be like, Sim, Lim. We'd be like, so Keith, what time? It'd be like 10:59. This one was like, I was like 7, my sister was like 11, and cousin Keith was I think he's in his 20s. We'd be like, cousin Keith, what time is it? Oh, it's 11. We fall out laughing. That used to clown our cousins from Texas. That nigga said 11. 11? And I got the same when I went back down south for the summer. They'd be like, oh, you from LA, you talk too proper. Why y'all LA people talk so proper? And when I would go to Texas, I would get clowned for being from LA and pronouncing my R's. And for talking to, oh, y'all LA cousins are uppity. And man, the LA cousins, the LA cousins, y'all talk like that. That's what we do. So, you coming from a Latin country or a Caribbean country, and you're talking some blood clot, yeah, blood clot. Hell fucking yeah, we clowning that shit. You bumble clot bastard? Yes, we are. That shit's funny. Why do you talk like that? That shit's weird. It's different. So we gonna clown you. It's part of our culture. And I stand 10 toes down on it. Because when them white boys clown you, when them white boys make Nigerians, you'll have a whole ass Nigerian that's a fucking doctor at home. And then these white boys come to America and be like, yeah, you gotta fucking drive a cab and come back to school again and learn it our way. And for all that shit Nigerians talk about, we are educated. Your ass gonna drive a fucking cab for 5, 6, 10 years and re-enroll in medical school out here and do it the way them white boys told you to do it. Your white teachers are gonna give you inferior attention. You're gonna get talked about your accent in your presentations, and you ain't gonna say shit to them white people. But then you want to come to black Americans and be like, you should have accepted us. You should have accepted us. We did accept you, motherfucker. We didn't deny you no rent. Guarantee you if a black person owned that building you renting out from, he didn't deny it because you African. Or if it was a black apartment manager, guarantee you when you apply for that county job, it was a black American that hired your ass, Ubuntu. All these entertainers you see from different races, it's usually a black person that put them on, Jennifer Lopez, by way of a living color. What's the other white girl? I mean, Puerto Rican girl that was talking that bullshit about Spike Lee. What's her name? Y'all know she was in White Men Can't Jump. What's that Puerto Rican girl name? Spike Lee put her on. Now, what's that girl name? She was in White Men Can't Jump. And she was in Do the Right Thing. What's that Puerto Rican girl name? Y'all know who I'm talking about. Got her big break from a black person. All these Africans and European Africans coming, if they didn't get their break from a black person, yeah, Rosie Perez, thank you, Charlotte. Rosie Perez. When you're dealing with these Africans and these European Africans coming over here, if they didn't get their first role from a black person, they're playing a role written for a black American that they could not have gotten in Europe. That they could have not, if they got it in Nigeria, it would have been a horrible ass Bollywood film. And if they came from Europe, came from England, they would have not gotten that role. They're playing a black American hero. So always on our, black Americans ain't stopping nobody from putting money in their pocket. The real reason why you motherfuckers is disrespectful is because your homelands, whether you're Latino, Caribbean, or African, y'all practice tribalism in y'all at home and you bring that shit here. That's the problem. It ain't because the black Americans crack jokes. It's because you saw yourself as better than the black Americans the whole time to begin with. That's what it was. Somebody said Soul Train, but Soul Train ain't putting nobody on, man. Sit your ass down. You ain't never met nobody that made it big off Soul Train. Anybody that made it big off Soul Train, it was because of what they did after Soul Train. Stop it. I was at a party last month that was celebrating a whole bunch of Soul Train dancers. And none of them niggas had a follow-up act after Soul Train. And they were all in the same rinky-dink ass club I was in. Stop it. Stop it. Gotta stand 10 toes down for your culture. Let me finish off what Mos Def had to say. Let me see if there's anything else he had to say here.
I have no response just yet, but I'm not keen to talk about people or to them through a screen. I prefer to talk to people directly. But I will say this: the young man is very talented. He's been able to be very successful with that talent, and I have no issue with his success or anything that he's been able to achieve as a result of his talent.
Okay, yeah, I'm done. I'm not with somebody as established as Mos Def have to explain themselves to some young whippersnapper who ain't even from America. I get it. Mos Def didn't necessarily apologize, but he did have to follow up and explain himself, and he should not have to explain himself. You dig? You dig? So Shalimar comes partially from Soul Train. Shalimar comes from the Mavericks Flat. Again, follow-up act. Jeffrey Daniel was a dancer from Soul Train, but Howard Hewitt wasn't on Soul Train. Howard Hewitt was a house singer at the Mavericks Flat on Crenshaw and Stocker. And Dick Griffey, Solar Records, the same studios that ultimately Death Row ended up using to record Doggy Style and The Chronic. Dick Griffey got Jody Watley and Jeffrey Daniel from Soul Train and matched them with Howard Hewitt, the house singer at Mavericks Flat. And that's how he became Shalimar. Again, follow-up act. What I said still stands. No one blew up directly from some fucking Soul Train. If they did blow up, it was something that they did after Soul Train that people look back on was like, oh yeah, they used to be on Soul Train. Yeah, J-Lo got her big break with The Living Color. Yep. That's like saying Paula Abdul got her break from being a Laker girl. Yeah, Paula Abdul was a Laker girl at first. Yes, she was. But it was her music act that made Paula Abdul the name she ended up becoming. Her act as a singer, not as a Laker girl. What's up, DJ Scout Dirty? So that's what I mean by we gotta stand 10 toes down for the culture. We can't be intimidated to speak up. You know why we can't be intimidated? I bookmarked this over here. Let me go to my bookmarks on Twitter. Let me show you. Look at this. This is the kind of shit that we got to deal with in America. These motherfuckers
Celebrities with Caribbean roots. Jada Pinkett Smith. Romany Malco. Jackie Harry.
Let me go all the way. They can do a whole bunch of people with Caribbean roots. Okay, yeah.
Estelle.
And then
Nicki Minaj. Rihanna. Beyonce.
right there. These niggas try to throw Beyonce up in this bitch. As if her mama ain't from Houston and her daddy from Gaston, Alabama. This is the kind of stuff we have to deal with as Black Americans. People come and get famous through an art form that we created by ourselves with no help from anybody else. And then they have a We Are the World Against Black America campaign. Look at all of these non-Black Americans doing great Black American things. And then you got shit like this. Michael Jordan and his parents. Nigerian strong. And no disrespect to Nigeria, nothing wrong with Nigeria. But most Black Americans over the age of 40, our parents are older than Nigeria. My mom is older than Nigeria. My dad is older than Nigeria. We as Black Americans, this is the last point I make before I end today's show. Whether it be Nigeria, Cameroon, Ghana, any part of Africa, let me say this and let me make it very clear. We as Black Americans have our own distinctive thing. Are we African? Some came from Africa. Less than 400,000 came directly from Africa. There were millions already here that weren't from Africa directly. And if we're going to play the we're from Africa game, then let's do that for everybody. If when I turn on Caribbean music, I hear that's Africa, cool. If we turn on Korean music and Korean culture, and it has to be followed up with, well, that's African, cool. If we turn on to European, Anglo-Saxon culture, and we have to hear, well, they got that from Africa, cool. Australian culture, Mexican culture, South American culture. Either we all gonna be from Africa, or we're all gonna celebrate what we've done here where we stand. It ain't gonna be no Black Americans are from Africa, while French people get to be from France. Hell, when you read European history, you see the Anglos and the Saxons didn't reach England until the goddamn Holy Roman Empire times. They're not indigenous to Africa. Hell, after Roman Empire times for Anglo-Saxons. When you read white history, we see that white folks are not indigenous to the lands. The Franks are not indigenous to France. The Spanish are the Vandals and the Visigoths. The Germanic tribes of Europe, the Huns aren't native to Germany. But whatever cultures they created on those lands, they get credit for on those lands. So why is it when we as Black Americans talk about what we created in our greatness, we all of a sudden African? When we've invented and done so much right here in the United States of America. The United States of America, officially as a charter, as a country, recognized by Morocco first, became an established nation in 1776. I got records of family that go back to this landmass to 1640. My family on record, and I'm not even talking about the Potawatomi natives. I'm not talking about the Chickasaw natives, the Choctaw natives in my family, or the Potawatomi. I'm not even going to talk about the Choctaw and the Potawatomi Native Americans who've been here since, I don't know when it started. But I will talk about the ones who are on record here in the United States. 1640. That means they was here officially 136 years before there even was the United States. My family go back to colonial times. So why I gotta be African American? And that Visigoth that moved here from Spain, or that Hun that moved here from Germany, or that Anglo-Saxon that moved here from England 80 years ago, 40 years ago, how are they American? The Midwest is filled out by the Germanic tribes, by Germany. After slavery, the Midwest is filled out by Germans. They came in the 1880s, 1870s, 1890s. How are they more American than me? And I've been on this land since the 1640. The colony of Virginia. I got paperwork showing my family in the colony of Pennsylvania, in the colony of Maryland, in the colony of North Carolina. How do I get grouped with an Asian that came here 10 years ago? Or Latino that came here 50 years ago? And then you guilt trip me and call me xenophobic when I stand up to it and question it. How has my blood been on this motherfucking land since the 1600s? But I gotta be othered as an African American. And when I invent jazz, Europe gotta get the credit. When I invent hip hop, Latinos gotta get the credit, share credit. We invent a whole new instrument called a drum set, only for Negroes to say, well, drums are African. Not the drum set. If the drum set is African, show it. Show me a drum set in Africa. Show it to me. kick drum, hi-hat, snare, and you can't show it to me? Doesn't exist. But the drum set is the fundamental difference between music made in America and music across the world. How did we invent something that is the absolute fundamental difference in how a song is written and recorded and played? But we still got to give that credit to Africa. I'm gonna break down all that music history in my music history course that I'm putting together. That's right, Black and Mexicans. You lost the war and you ceded the land. It's not yours. Furthermore than that, you motherfuckers speak Spanish. Spanish ain't your indigenous language, nigga. I had some Latino try to tell me that shit. Well, my people have been here since didn't we? Well, your people during the 1920s and 30s claimed white. And you've been fighting for the right to claim white ever since you got kicked off from being white. And 9 out of 10 of y'all, 99 out of 100 of y'all are going to put white on your driver's license. Fuck out of here. Aaron, the music class is going to start mid-February. I'm going to have signups for my music class starting probably tomorrow. I have my sign up, my registration for my new music class. I'll probably have that up tomorrow. My niece hit me up for money. I swear to God, no matter what that girl put us through, I love that girl. I love my niece. I could have 2 nickels. I'm going to give one to my baby girl. I could have 2 nickels. I'm going to give my baby girl one. Come on, baby. Send a request. Send a request. Send a request, baby. Well, that's what we're here for, right? I appreciate y'all. I'm going to come back on tomorrow and probably do some readings. Y'all want some readings? Oh, my mini readings are now every day of the week. You no longer have to wait till Monday for a mini reading, okay? I need to make a new flyer. It's no longer just Mondays. Mini readings are 6 days a week. I'm closed Sundays. Readings are 6 days a week. Mini readings. So get that. Go to my Patreon also. And if you go to my Patreon, if you like regular readings, it'll be much cheaper for you to go to Patreon if you like regular readings. Because one, I'm giving discounts to my for a full reading. On the wrong one. Thank you for the 10 minutes. Here we go. I changed it up. The Cardology Reading Circle. For those of you like regular readings, you're better off in one of these reading circles. Because I'm gonna give you guys regular. We're gonna go live in the reading circles. Probably on Fridays. I'm gonna get my reading circle, do a live that's exclusive just for the reading circle. And if you're a documentary insider level 2, you get access to all my classes that I teach on music. Any music class, if you're a documentary insider level 2, that'll enroll you in that, all right? Take me to the river. Take me to the river. So, yeah. We here. That's right, Bismarck T. LA ain't had that many residents in the 1840s. This is all them goddamn earthquakes this place be having. Shit. But anyway, I'm about to get up out of here. Join the Patreon. Get a reading, man. The readings. We're gonna probably do a reading show tomorrow. Inbox me what y'all want to read. Like my Patreon for my patrons. If you're a current patron, hit me up in the Patreon inbox and tell me what you want me to read on tomorrow. Patrons get priority reading topics. And I got some interviews set up too. I might do an interview tomorrow too. She's saying she sent me a request. I swear to God, I know I shouldn't be paying this girl. I should not be giving this girl no money. But God damn it, can't help it sometimes. There we go. Well, I appreciate y'all. And remember this, there are no perfect messengers. Only perfect messages for those willing to pick up the game. Stand 10 toes down for the culture. And we're going to have more follow-up to this. We're going to talk about this a little bit more, all right? I'm out.